reporting this as a chlorine gas attack, but we think here at Chicama Live that this is being hyped to be something that it really isn't. So a Midwestern Furry convention was allegedly attacked with chlorine gas this weekend. Things got weird on an unanticipated and frightening way for several thousand attendees of Midwest FurFest early Sunday morning when they were targets of an alleged intentional chlorine gas leak that could have turned deadly according to the fuzz. We're doing puns now. Puns aside, the news is deeply troubled. The event is the second biggest gathering of furries, the term for people who dress up in expensive animal costumes and role play as anthropomorphic critters. Now, let's talk about that role play. There's a lot of people who want to say, oh, they roll around and have sex. Just like the bronies who are men who look at My Little Pony cartoons. 99% of them look at the cartoons and they simply like the cartoons, just like little tiny girls, like the My Little Pony series. But there is 1% of them who incorporate the My Little Pony into their sexual fantasies, right? Not everybody here is into S&M, but people have sex, right? You understand the metaphor here? So we're talking about that people in the world, on the planet of the universe of humans, people have sex, right? 1% of them are into S&M. Bronies. 99% of them watch the cartoon and like it, and that's the extent of it. They might collect the dolls or get into it, but 1% of them incorporate it into their sex life, just like furries. Why am I saying all this? I just met a furry this week. It just so happened I met a real life furry this weekend at a convention. Now, nobody else was a furry at the convention. It was just this one lone guy who was dressed up. Now, I thought he was trying to wear some sort of costume. So I went and I said, hi, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I spoke to him. He revealed he was a furry. I go, oh, I played Second Life, and found that he played Second Life. He watched anime. He played video games that I played, and everything that, and what's funny is when I stopped talking to him, the other people at the convention, I didn't know anybody at the convention except for my friend who invited me. The other people came up to him and said, how did you get him to talk to you? I said, well, I use this magical thing from Africa called, hi, how are you doing? Anyway, the guy was pretty much normal. I mean, normal, boring. He had fur boots or fur feet on that came up to his knees. He had fur bracers that went from his wrist to his elbow. He had a tail, and he had a little headband with ears on it. I thought he was in the process of wearing a costume and he just wasn't finished. He was wearing jean shorts and a t-shirt, which was completely dressed down and inappropriate for the convention because everybody else was dressed in suits. So I thought he was like a performer or something. I thought he was going to perform something, but nope, he was a furry. Anyway, that's my real life experience with furries. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to meet a furry who just is into the whole furry lifestyle. I don't know if it's a lifestyle. It might just be a hobby or something like that. I wanted to explain that because there's a lot of, the news loves to hype everything up, just like the Bill Cosby thing. He raped these women. He raped all of these women 30 years ago, and from 30 years till now, no other woman was raped. Really? Is that how it works out? It could not be that these women are wanting millions of dollars, right? And I hate that these female news reporters, he should just go to court and waive his statute of limitation. But really? Really, wench? Is that what you would do? Would you waive the statute of limitation if somebody accused you of molesting children? Women are the largest molester of children. Women. Single moms, hello. Nobody wants to report that. But everybody wants to believe that this nearly billionaire black man raped. They're not saying molested, raped. They're not saying came onto. They said raped. so that there was some sort of physical contact between him and a whole bunch of women. It's funny that nobody else in the entire industry has ever said that before. Let me clue you in, people. The news does not report facts. The news wants you to get upset and up in arms and, oh my God, 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 I'm afraid, oh my God, I'm mad, oh my God, I'm emotional. That's what the news wants. Everybody calls me boring. Okay, I won't be boring. I'll be stupid like the news. Oh my God, these sexual furries were talked by Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and 50 people were beheaded at the convention of thousands. Didn't happen. Now, let's get into this. The Midwest FurFest drew 4,600 attendees this year, which means a lot of people stood to be poisoned if the apparent attack were successful. Luckily, the leak was obvious due to the chemical's pungent odor, and attendees were evacuated from the Chicago area Hyatt about 30 minutes after the leak was detected, shortly after midnight. Chlorine exposure can cause symptoms ranging from blurry vision to a condition called acute lung injury, and in up to 1% of the exposure cases, people die. A hazmat team found the source of the gas in a hotel stairwell, a pile of powdered chlorine. Now let's understand that one, or listen carefully. Powdered chlorine. And the incident sent 19 people who were complaining of dizziness and other medical issues to the hospital. A police investigation into what put the chlorine there is ongoing. By 4:21 a.m., the Rosemont Police Department gave the all clear and allowed the furries to continue their party. Quote, as we wake up today, we want to continue to provide the best possible convention that we can, despite the trying circumstances, FurFest organizers said in a statement. We ask you to continue to be patient and remember that the volunteers who make Midwest FurFest happen intend to give 110% to make sure that the fun, friendship, and good times of Midwest FurFest 2014 overshadow last night's unfortunate incident. Now, keep in mind that to even be a furry, as far as this is concerned, you have to have thousands of dollars just for the costume. So we're not talking about degenerate people who wallow around in the gutter. We're talking about people who have jobs, who do this little hobby, and who pay good money for these costumes. I don't like the costumes. I'm not a furry. I don't like the costumes aesthetically. If I were to design a fur costume, I'd make it look a little bit better. The convention, which began on Thursday, has already featured events like explaining furry to your parents and a new introduction to paw pattering. I don't even know what that means. It ends Monday night, although they might not have slept much this weekend due to evacuation. Fuzzy-headed convention goers can try to wrangle with the intricacies of furry theory in a group discussion today. Hopefully, they can make it to the 10 p.m. for the final event, which now seems to have an inappropriate name, the Dead Dog Dance. Now, let's go back to a pile of powdered chlorine. Powdered chlorine is not chlorine gas. Powdered chlorine can turn into gas, but it's not chlorine gas. Supposedly, if it had been actual chlorine gas, and I mean not powder turning into a gas, if it was a chlorine gas attack, the entire hotel, probably the block, would have had massive injuries and probably death. So if this was an attack, it really wasn't the attack that the news is trying to make it out to be. I'm not trying to take anything away from the suffering that happened at the place, but the person who did it, and they said it was intentional, and they're trying to investigate who done it, the person wasn't very good at his attempt. Now, I hope I've explained the news to people so that people can, people who are a little bit stupid can understand what they're reading or watching when they look at the news. And inappropriately, we had an MSNBC host get so giggly that she got up from the news anchor desk and run down the hallway on camera at this story. Now, I apologized for laughing in one of my pieces, which of course took off because people love seeing people laugh or hearing people laugh or whatever. It was a lighthearted piece anyway, so I didn't feel that unprofessional, but that is unprofessional to get up and laugh and run down the hallway, and the other host called to her to come back. I mean, it was just awful. It's the news. That's what they do. They don't care. They don't care. They're not in it to be professional. This isn't Tom Brokaw. This isn't Walter Cronkite. This is the day of MTV being watched for news. A comedian, what is it? The Daily Show being watched for news. The Daily Show. What is it? 90% of young people get their actual news from The Daily Show. The news is no longer factual. It's all about hype. TMZ is the news. This is what we're left with. So now, your opinion about furries, I'm not trying to make you embrace furries. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But I'm trying to make you understand that the news talking about the furries, or any outlets, any magazines, if you're not a furry yourself, you probably don't understand it. And your opinion of furries has been shaped by the news, who goes, oh, they're sexual deviants. I have it on good authority that one of the reports, I think it was last year or the year before, searched for a sexual brony. In fact, they were live, and they kept searching and said, do you know anybody who's a brony and sexual with it? And they kept looking and looking. And so finally, one guy who knew another guy who knew another guy who knew another guy, blah, 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 finally found one. And all he said is he masturbated to the brony stuff. He didn't have gay sex with another brony or nothing like that. But I mean, masturbating to a pony is about as bad as masturbating to the, National Geographic. You know what I'm saying? You have available to you what you have available to you. So people know what I'm talking about when they say people who masturbated to National Geographic. All right. That's the end of the report. Thank you for watching the Shicum Live Show.